Good morning, everybody. It is 9 o'clock in Athens. That would make it 9 o'clock in Kiev and 10 o'clock in Moscow. This is my morning update for Thursday. And I think the big news story is the call between Olaf Scholz and Vladimir Putin. And we don't really know much about this call, except for the fact that it centers around the gas for rubles. And March 31st, today supposedly is the deadline. And we have a readout, kind of a readout, from the German side of things. We don't really have much of a readout from the Kremlin, or at least I haven't been able to access a readout from the Kremlin with regards to that phone call. And I'm going to need to sit down because I want to read you what we do know. So I'm going to sit down and pull out my phone so I can make sure I get the correct quotes in here. But yeah, it looks like that Olaf Scholz wanted some clarification as to what's going on, because behind all the bravado of we're not going to pay rubles for gas, and all of these bold statements coming out of the EU and the collective West. Let me sit down here. You know that they are scared, you know what, about this plan. So let me get to what we do know, and this is coming from, I'm going to read you from TASS, RT, and Deutsche Welle. So we have the Russian state media, and we have German state media in Deutsche Welle, which is German state media. So let's start here with this excerpt. So Russian President Putin and German Chancellor Scholz spoke by phone on Wednesday to discuss Moscow's demand that Berlin pay for Russian gas with rubles rather than euros or dollars. According to the German version of events, Putin agreed that payments would continue for the moment in either of the two Western currencies, with the Kremlin stating that these payments would then be converted into the Russian currency. Moscow claimed that Putin explained to Scholz that his government is now demanding payment in rubles due to the fact that, in violation of international law, the Russian exchange reserves of the Bank of Russia were frozen by the EU member states. However, Putin told Scholz that the switchover would not result in less advantageous contract conditions for German importers. According to Berlin, Putin told Scholz that payments could still be made in euros or dollars to Russia's Gazprom Bank, which is not subject to EU sanctions. Gazprom Bank would then convert the payments into rubles. Scholz did not agree to this procedure in the conversation, but asked for written information to better understand the procedure, said a German spokesperson. All right, so that is the German side of things, and that's the Russian side of things, at least what we know about the Russian side of things. There is really not much to go on here. I mean, a lot of this is now speculation, but you can obviously see here that the German readout, or at least what we're getting from the German side, is that they are saying that payments would continue for the moment in either of the two currencies, where the Kremlin is saying that Putin explained to Scholz that his government is now demanding payment in rubles because of the sanctions, but he told Scholz that the switchover would not result in less advantageous contract conditions to German importers. So the Russians aren't really saying that the payments will be accepted in USD or euros. From what we're getting, Putin just told Scholz that the switchover is not going to result in less advantageous contract conditions, while the Germans are saying Putin told Scholz that we'll be able to pay for the gas in euros and USD. Basically, what the Germans are saying, and this may be true, this may be correct, because I still can't get to the Kremlin readout, or the Kremlin hasn't put out a readout of this conversation yet. So, pure speculation. What the Germans are saying from their readout is that this would work something like such. The Germans would pay for gas in euros. They would deposit the money into Gazprom Bank. Gazprom Bank would then convert those rubles via the central bank in Russia, would convert those euros to rubles via the central bank in Russia, and that would complete the transaction. So that's the process that I believe the German readout is explaining. Russia, for its part, on the 28th of March, they announced that they're going to be buying gold at 5,000 rubles a gram from other banks from March 28th, I believe, till June 30th. So instead of Russia selling gold like the West believed they would do, the collective West thought that with the sanctions, Russia would be forced to sell its gold in order to prop up its economy. Russia is actually now buying gold, and they're putting a floor price on that gold. There's a great article from Tom Longo. I'll put that in the description box down below, where he goes over this floor price that the Russians have just put on gold, and it's a fascinating read, but it completely goes against what the collective West thought would happen. They thought Russia would be selling its gold. Now the Russian central bank is buying gold, and they're putting a price of 5,000 rubles to the gram for that gold. So for a lot of businesses, a lot of countries that are looking to buy oil and gas or other Russian commodities with rubles, because they're going to be forced to buy it with rubles, they may actually be getting it at a discount if they decide to convert their gold for those rubles. Just a thought for everybody. But look, the readout between Scholz and Putin, that's all we have to go on. That's all we have to go on. So the Germans are saying that, in essence, they're saying that things will continue pretty much as is, to a certain extent. They'll be able to purchase the gas via Gazprom Bank with euros, and then Gazprom Bank will convert those euros to rubles. That's how the Germans are saying it's going to go. Putin, in the readout that we have, in what little information we have, the Kremlin is saying that Putin pretty much just reassured Scholz that there's not going to be any disadvantages to this new gas for rubles payment scheme. So let's wait and see what the Kremlin says. I think that's the best thing to do. Let's wait and see what the Kremlin says on this, and I'm sure we'll get more information as this goes along. Kremlin spokesperson Peskov did say that the switch to rubles for gas is going to take some time. It's not. We have all kinds of interesting cars and motorbikes here in Athens, but Peskov said that very noisy this morning. Give me one sec, and I'm going to move over to a quiet place. Right here at this church will be a little more quiet. So Peskov said that it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time to get everything put in place with this gas for rubles scheme. So I'm just right here. This church in the center of Athens. So let me sit down over here. All right, so that's the first story. That is the first story of this morning. The second story of this morning has to do with Hungary and the elections that are coming up. I believe April 3rd are the elections in Hungary. Now, Hungary has taken a stance with regard to this conflict, where Orban has said pretty much we're not getting involved. We're not going to get involved. Yes, we'll sign up to the EU sanctions stuff and all the documents that the EU is putting our way for sanctions and all of these things because they have to. as being an EU member. But as far as providing military assistance to Ukraine and in order to let NATO use Hungary to get weapons funneled into Ukraine, Hungary has said no. Now, I've heard reports, and I've heard from various people in our locals community, as well as on Telegram as well, that NATO is managing to funnel certain weapons, smaller weapons, via Ukraine and Poland via Hungary and Poland into Ukraine. Small weapons that aren't going to really change the outcome of the war. What those small weapons are going to do is they're going to create all kinds of chaos in Europe once they hit the black market in years to come. And so Europe's going to pay a very, very terrible price for allowing these small weapons to flow into Ukraine, because they're going to hit the black market right away. And God forbid what's going to happen in 2, 3, 4 years down the line when certain terrorist acts take place or something happens with I don't even want to say it, with just terrible things are going to happen because of these small weapons being funneled into Ukraine and then hitting the black market. So Europe is going to be, the EU is squarely to blame for the chaos that's going to come 2 or 3 years down the line, squarely to blame for all of this. But anyway, there are reports that NATO is managing to get some stuff through Hungary into Ukraine. Now, Orban has taken a position, an official position, where he said we're not going to have NATO use Hungary to fuel this war. The elections are April 3rd. The foreign minister of Hungary has come out and said that Ukraine is meddling in Hungarian elections. And Ukraine is trying to prop up this opposition umbrella collective, which is going up against Orban and his Fidesz party. And Ukraine is trying to figure out a way for them to win the elections, because they would like this new party to come into power. And it's not really one party. It's like a collection of 6 parties. Ukraine would like these 6 parties as coalition to win the elections so that they can green light more NATO assistance via Hungary to Ukraine. And I believe these claims from the Hungarian foreign minister. Ukraine has come out and they've denounced it. The foreign minister has denounced it, Kaluba. He said that, no, we're not meddling in Hungarian elections. Of course, what's he going to say? We are meddling in Hungarian elections? Of course they are. Of course Ukraine is meddling, because the European Union is trying to do everything in their power to remove Orban. They've even put this coalition together of parties, and these parties have nothing in common. I mean, these are like Greens in a coalition with communists, in a coalition with anarchists, in a coalition with leftist parties. I mean, the EU and the US, I'm sure together, and the UK, they've all forced these parties, these different parties that hate each other under normal circumstances, they forced them under one umbrella in order to create some sort of a viable opposition to Orban's one party. Orban is just one party, and he's going up against like 6 parties, and he's still ahead in the polls. It's something like 41 to 39, I think, is the latest polling that we're getting. So Orban is ahead, though it's tight. But keep in mind, it's one party going up against 6. They're doing everything in their power to get rid of Orban, the EU, everything in their power to get rid of Orban. But I believe that Ukraine is meddling in Hungarian elections. I'll tell you why. Because Ukraine meddled in U.S. elections. Never forget that in 2016, it was Ukraine and the Ukraine embassy in D.C. that was meddling in the U.S. elections against Trump and in favor of Hillary. Never forget that. You had characters like Alexandra Chalupa, who was finding out ways to smear Trump and to get Hillary to win. Never forget that it was Ukraine that was a big player in Russiagate and in Ukrainegate, the phone call with Zelensky. Ukraine has a history of meddling in elections and in other countries' internal affairs. Not Russia, Ukraine. And when I mean Ukraine, it's not really the Ukraine government. I mean, it's Ukraine with the deep state in the background. You always got to remember that. I'm not saying that Ukraine has this incredible power to meddle in countries' affairs. No. When I say Ukraine, it is, yes, it is Ukraine, but Ukraine is being used by the deep state to push certain outcomes. They're like a front man, you know. They're like just pushed to the front in order to create certain outcomes that the deep state and the globalists that they want. So, yeah, the globalists and the deep state, I'm sure, are pushing Ukraine and Ukraine government officials and Ukraine SBU and Secret Service and all of these agencies, which are filled with Western three-letter agencies as well. I'm sure they're using Ukraine to meddle in Hungarian elections. For this, I am absolutely positive. Absolutely positive. And let's see. So that's Hungary. And one final story, maybe two. Let's do two final stories. Three, because the last two are going to be very short. They're Clown World stories. The last two will be Clown World stories. But the last major story is Lavrov in China. And he met his counterparty, the foreign minister Wang Yi. They had very good constructive talks. The readout from the China side of things is pretty much the relationship with Russia has never been stronger. I mean, that's what the Chinese are saying, like never been stronger. And Lavrov came out with a statement that said the world is moving towards a world of fairness, of justice, of law, and it's going to be a multipolar world. That's what Lavrov said. It's going to be a multipolar world, and that is where we are. That is where we're moving towards. So that was Lavrov's statement. Lavrov also said something along the lines of a lot of this new world order is going to be anchored in the BRICS. Remember BRICS? Once upon a time, people used to talk about BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Well, Lavrov is bringing it up again. And he's saying that a lot of this new world order is going to be anchored in the philosophy and the structure of the BRICS. Very telling statements from Lavrov. And finally, let's get walking again so I can find a place to grab a coffee and edit this video and get it up. The final two topics are Clown World. Let's talk Clown World. The first Clown World story is the UK Sports Ministry is now going to require all athletes to sign a document before they compete in competitions stating that they're not funded by Russia and they're not funded by Putin and they have no connection to Russia or Vladimir Putin. Yeah, I think the UK has lost the plot. No doubt about it. They've kind of gone, Boris Johnson and his government, the UK government, the conservative government, the officials in the UK, they've kind of gone crazy. They've lost the plot. No doubt about it. So yeah, they're going to make all athletes, and I imagine for Wimbledon as well with Medvedev, sign a document saying that Vladimir Putin doesn't fund them. It's just crazy, man. Crazy. These people are going insane. Vladimir Putin is literally driving these people insane. He is driving them insane, off the cliff. And the final Clown World story goes back to the video I did with yesterday about canceling Z. So we talked about how the Zurich insurance company is getting rid of their logo, which is a Z, because, well, you know, you can't use Z anymore. It's prohibited. The letter Z is prohibited. So this massive, huge insurance company, Zurich Insurance, Zurich Finances, whatever, they're this massive company, and they're going to actually change their logo because Zelensky told them to. What a bunch of chumps. Anyway, Samsung is doing the same. They have a whole line of telephones like the Z Fold, and telephones like this. They're branded Z, like the Fold Z, and they're going to remove the Z from that brand. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Samsung, this massive corporation. I mean, Samsung is gigantic. They're bowing down to the cult of Zelensky. They're bowing down to the cult of Zelensky. Or should we say Elensky? Because we can't really say Zelensky, can we? Anyway, those are the two clown world stories that I wanted to get to everyone. That's the video, everybody. The Duran.locals.com. Check out Alexander's channel. Check out the Duran's channel. And if anyone has any information or any insight with the gas for rubles, if they know anything else that's going on or anything that they think might be going on, please put it in the comments down below. I'm sure there's a lot of finance experts and people that understand the gas industry, the oil industry, commodities, all of these things. Let me know if you have any insight as to how you think this is going to work. And yeah, I'd be interested to read it. I think everyone will be interested to read insights on that. Anyway, that is the video. If I have any more info, I will get it out to you. Take care.